I'm going to try to be concise. I'm going to try to go 1 minute per team. We'll see how fast I can do it. Week 1 rankings. The first tier. These are non-contenders. Okay? We have 4 teams in this tier. I do not think these teams are contenders unless they change around some stuff. What's it looking like? Alvin. He had a pre-draft ranking of a D. And besides Jaden Daniels, nothing really went well for this team week 1. Olave, this doesn't look like the worst team on the planet at first glance. He's got some upside, right, with Olave maybe being better. Ramondre, he had that workhorse role, but how many times are they going to be in a leading game script where they can give him the ball 25 times? Jaden Daniels could be really good. JT, I'm just worried about him. Anthony Richardson's going to vulture touchdowns. DK got locked down in week 1. He doesn't have a good matchup in week 2 either. I think they may just spread the ball around too much there. He had a bad leak from Laporta. Laporta will be better, but this is where the team gets bad. It's just his best position is quarterback, right? But is anyone going to pay him for CJ Stroud? He's going to be stuck between both of these really good players each week. He's got to move one of them to get things better. He's got very little depth. McConkey, yeah, he got in the end zone, but what's his line without that touchdown? 6 points. Like Singletary in the flex, it's just a non-contender. You'll see as we go up the list. These doesn't look like bad players as far as name value. He's got a lot of name value on this team, but I don't think it's going to be able to contend. Sam. He had a preseason draft grade of a C. And he's 0-2, just like our last team. Saquon might score all the touchdowns instead of Hurts this year. Rushing. So if Hurts gets no rushing upside near the goal line, or just reduced rushing upside near the goal line, look at that. He ran the ball 13 times last week, only 33 yards. I don't love it. Kyron, I don't love it. He got in the end zone, only 14 points. Najee, as far as RB2s go, he's going to be one of the worst. That's an ugly, ugly stat line. 20 attempts for 70 yards. Your wide receiver 1, I think Garrett Wilson will be fine. Look at that. 11 targets. Rodgers loves him. It's just, are the Jets going to be good? They will have easier matchups most weeks than San Francisco, so maybe that turns around. Devontae, he's going to be boom or bust. Decent week last week. I don't know. It's a weak RB2. It's a weak wide receiver 2. His flex is okay. Pickens look good. I don't know if you're going to get out of Ingram this year what you got last year. I'm trying to keep myself on pace. Arush, C-. C- for Rushi. See, the tough thing for him is he had that CMC injury, but I think even when CMC comes back, this team's a little sketch. Devontae and Zay's your wide receiver duo. Not bad on the surface, but most teams are going to have better duos. At the flex, JSN and Worthy. Not terrible. Worthy got in the end zone last week, but I think most teams are just going to do better. His real problem is quarterback. I don't know if Caleb's going to be good for fantasy for a while. Not only was he not good for real life last week, but he wasn't good for fantasy. And, he's just so CMC dependent. I got to turn off my notifications. He's so CMC dependent. And I don't know who's coming off this bench to spell. This might be the worst bench in the league besides Shakir. Ty. All right, now here's the first hot take. Ooh, Ty. He was 1-1 this week. Why is he in the bottom 4? He is so heavy on 2 teams, it's insane. I've never seen something like this. He's got his quarterback and his wide receiver 1, and then his running back 1 and his tight end 1 from these 2 teams. And they are 2 of the best offenses in the league. I just don't know if I believe it. I don't know if I believe James Conner can sustain 20 touches a game all year. Jamar's got his weird thing going. I think Burrow will be ass with the hand. I think he needs to replace Burrow ASAP. I guess Zeke is fine. Maybe Zeke will be good as someone to spell off the bench. He's going to do great this week because he's got this guy. That's pretty lucky of him that he's got Mason. I don't think Mason will be a weekly starter, though, if whenever McCaffrey comes back. So the only way he gets catapulted up these rankings is if McCaffrey's out long term, because then boom, Debo gets to step up, more work, and he gets to start Mason every week. That's what would make this team good. I can't rank it based on CMC is going to be out for more than just this next week. And Burrow and Chase worry me. And Kelsey, had a bad week 1. I know Sleeper's got him projected to go for 14 points this week, but does anybody really believe that? that he's going to go back to his 14 points per week. What's he done in his last however many games? Yeah, he's great in the playoffs, but look at how he did end of regular season. He only got to 14 one time, week 8 through 17. He only got in double digits 4 times, week 8 through 17. Um, I think that they're saving him for the playoffs, and that's why I got this team ranked low. Let's see here. Now, the next tier. Going to need some help, but could still make the playoffs and be good. Chuck's team. This is the first really bad draft grade by Bonzo. There's a couple. We learn a lot after week 1. We have to adjust. We have to be honest. We can't rely on the preseason draft rankings. What happened in week 1 that wasn't good for this team? Puka got hurt, so Stafford might not be as good. Marvin did not get as many targets. He might take a while to get going. Chase Brown did not have the RB1 role. He's the clear RB2. Gibbs, pure 50-50 split with Montgomery. So he's going to be good, but any idea that Gibbs is going to get more red zone work or something, it still looks like it's one drive Montgomery, one drive Gibbs. Waddle's great. Waddle's going to return on his value for sure. That was Chuck's best pick, it looks like. Bowers will get better as the season goes on. He's actually going to be good. It's just, is he going to return? Is he going to be able enough to turn around all those things I said before? Diggs, he's going to be touchdown dependent. Amari, shoot, the best thing for Amari would be if Jameis gets benched and Chuck's able to have Jameis Winston throwing the ball. Sorry, if Deshaun gets benched for Jameis, that'll be the best thing for Chuck's team. So we need some help. He needs a lot of these guys who are in timeshares to get more work. He needs Marv to do what he was drafted to do, and he has a chance, but he needs some help. Coob. Okay, Coob had a D+. He's not bottom of the pack anymore. And he's 2-0, so this might be a hot take, right? Saying, hey, this is, a 2-0 team. Only 4 teams are 2-0. How do you have him ranked at 7? Well, he did it off the back of Power. Is Power going to do that all week long? I don't know if he's going to do that every week. Rashad might be in a nice little time split. He had a good week 1. Just yardage-wise, but is he going to go 6 for 75 every week? Look at that, 2 yards a carry. They might start giving Bucky Irving more of the carries and more of Rashad the receiving, and that's not what you want from your RB1. CD's going to be great. Mike keeps outperforming his draft price every year. McBride, Lazard, Robinson, right? The reason I have to keep him at 7, if this team had Puka in there, he might be up another tier. But no Puka, I can't go higher than 7. I mean, realistically, he's starting Allen Lazard and DeMarcus Robinson this week. I can't rank him higher than 7, even though he got a nice win last week. Should be playoff teams. Obviously, I'm in the top 6. So these next 3 should be playoff teams. First of all, Mark. Mark with the B- draft grade, and he's holding right around that B- spot right now. Let's take a look here. Where is it? Yeah, Josh Allen's good. Aaron Jones did well week 1. Zach Moss apparently is the RB1 for now. I don't know how much value the RB1 in Cincy has, but he is. Keon Coleman should get better as the season goes on. Jefferson, he's fine. Schultz, fine in the sense that, Darnold doesn't look like he's going to be a detriment to him, right? So I think he'll be good. Dalton Schultz, that's his weak spot. Rashee Rice looks like a great pick. Amon-Ra, obviously great. He has he has Keon Slovidan in his wide receiver. Because the Thursday night game, obviously Amon-Ra is actually his wide receiver too. Yeah, this team's just solid. He's got potential for Hollywood to come off the bench or Chuba, so he's not very shallow. Very Josh Allen dependent. I don't know if he can survive a bad Josh Allen week, but Josh Allen doesn't really have bad weeks. So I think this team is on track to be in the playoffs. Troy, A-. This was a tier 1 team, and now he's kind of fell a little bit. Why is that? We went 1-1 in week 1, didn't even put up 100 points. Anthony Richardson looks cool. He's got the 2 passing touchdowns and the 1 rushing touchdown on the 50 yards, so that looks like a great pick where he got him. Henry, he's going to be very touchdown dependent. James Cook, still going to be great. Tyreek, still going to be great. Pittman, this is the one where you look at this roster and you're like, what would I change? Maybe it's from Pittman on down, right? Ferguson, a little banged up, who's coming in at tight end. Yikes, don't know. McLaurin, didn't get the targets week 1. Javonte, in a little time split with McLaughlin, 52% of snaps. That's not good. I ranked Troy's team high because I thought Javonte was one of the steals of the draft and Terry, and they both did bad week 1. So I have to be honest and move him down a tier. especially when his flex and his wide receiver two are looking a little shaky right now, and his tight end. But still a good team just because of Tyreek and the base that he has there with Cook and his quarterback. And then the next one in this tier, another A-minus team, Shelby. Another 1-1 week one start. But when you look at this roster, it's good, right? I almost moved this team up because you start this team, Lamar, Brees, Etienne. What did all these players prove week one? They're going to score touchdowns, and they're going to be really great for fantasy. Malik, he proved week one, hey, I'm going to play 100% of the snaps, and I'm going to get some targets. Now, that might not be good targets in the Giants' office, but having him as your wide receiver one, it's a little shaky. Luckily, his wide receiver two could be a rookie that's emerging as well. So I'm putting this team as 4 because I think both his wide receivers will get better as the year go on. Kittle, another one of those players that could benefit if CMC's out. He looks decent. Dortch, Brian Robinson. He's got Watson on the bench for when Jordan Love's healthy. Adunze, obviously going down hurts him, but I think his core is so strong that he's primed to get better and better as the season goes on. Should be a playoff team. Now, solid starts for all these teams, and also they have great outlooks and ceilings for their rosters, just based on what we saw transpire in week one. Kamish had a B draft grade. He comes out 2-0, scores second most points in the league by a mile. How'd he do that? Well, Jordan Love's hurt. That's unfortunate, but you don't have to downgrade this team too much because he's still got Brock Purdy, right? Brock did not have a good week one, but going back to last year, if you look at Brock's fantasy production, he tends to put up in the 20-point range, right? So that's a good fill-in for while Love's gone. Saquon might be RB1. He's RB1 right now. And he's not going to score 3 touchdowns every week, but even take away one of those touchdowns from him, and he was still at 25 points before his last touchdown. HN, if he stays healthy, league winner, right? So a lot of ceiling with him. Cooper Kupp, it's just facts. Puka's down. That helps Cooper Kupp. That's not going to be all year, but what if it is all year? I mean, 21 targets is insane. Now, this is where we get into the part of the roster where Falcons had a tough matchup, so you can give them a pass. Maybe London and Pitts will be better. Kirk didn't really get anything going, and this team is going to be very – obviously, this team has a good, RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1. Really, what's going to happen at wide receiver 2 and tight end is a big question mark for this team. The Falcons don't play as bad of teams as the Steelers every week, and you have to project that they'll be a little bit better. Likely, steal of the waiver wire. I don't have anything else to say on him. I think he's going to be great. Another sketchy spot for this team, the second flex. Is it Kirk? Is it DeAndre Swift? Is it somebody else later in the year? I don't know. But you just can't argue with the start this team has and the strength at running back and wide receiver 1. Now, John with the B draft grade comes in. He moves himself up after week 1. He's only 1-1, but what do I like about this team? I like Kyler. I like Kamara. I like Bijan. Ayuk will be better. I love DJ Moore, especially if there's going to be some injuries to this Bears offense here. Mark Andrews, maybe the weak spot on the team. Jaden Reed should be great later in the year when Love comes back. His second flex is sketchy, but I just ran through a bunch of players who are all going to be solid. He's got guys to slot in there maybe. He can slot in even Freiermuth for Andrews if Andrews winds up having a bust year. I just like John's team. I just think he drafted a good team, and he had a lot of things go his way in week 1. And now, Bonzo's worst call of the year, at least it looks like. Obviously, we're only through 1 week, but our highest scorer, and the team where all of his bets just seem to work out week 1, right? Except for Mahomes. Mahomes didn't even have a good week. But who did have a good week? Well, Josh Jacobs plays 70% of the snaps in a good offense. Kenneth Walker dominates the target share and the runs, and they seem to only want to go to him in the red zone. Nico looks like an alpha wide receiver 1. A.J. Brown. I mean, how can you argue with 10 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown? He's going to be great again. He's got this weird Taysom thing going on at tight end. Here's the real kicker. Both of his flexes, just everything broke right for them. Jerome Ford just gets all the work, gets the touchdown for Cleveland, even when they're in games where they're dominating, which they should be in a lot of close, low-scoring games. Ford's going to be great till Chubb comes back. Montgomery gets exactly 50% of the snaps, and when he's in, he gets the freaking ball. And Detroit's O-line is the best in the league. He gets the clutch overtime touchdown. It looks like he's going to get all that work. And the fact that he doesn't catch passes and Gibbs does, that doesn't really hurt him in our league because we're not full PPR. So he doesn't even care about the Keenan injury or the Njoku injury. I think everything just kind of broke right for this team with his running backs. Um, Honestly, if you would have made a better pick instead of Josh Jacobs, this would be a near perfect roster. And if you could have took a better shot on tight end, this roster looks great. His only weak spots right now are Taysom and Jacobs, and that's a pretty interesting situation to be in. So here we go, the full rankings. It's going obviously top to 1 through 12 there. We're on to week 2 tonight.